so that I can see the chat if somebody pops in. I know it's been, what, month or so since I've been on. It's been a month. It's been quite a month. Anyway, I also, when I try and pop up, I don't really want to have, I don't want to interrupt somebody else's programming, that's live or something like that. So sometimes doing the traffic negotiation isn't always easy. It's just a nice thing to do if you know your friends are. Oops, sorry. I gotta get to see. Hey, Melanie, how you doing today? I thought I'd pop up and show a couple things that I got. Some stuff I'm working on. Maybe throw in a little bit of an update. We meander and we putter and we don't always know where it's gonna lead, but hopefully it'll be good. I'm glad. I'm glad, Melanie. I just, I know when certain creators are on, like, that we all watch, because we kind of all overlap together in a lot of ways. I just kind of like to be respectful. Sometimes you just bump into each other because you just don't know that somebody's popped up too. And there's always replay. So let's start with, I've been working on key fobs. Some y'all have kind of seen. Right now, this is the bag that's current. They keep disappearing. I filled the bag and they disappear, of course. I did leave 10 at my vendor space, and the guy I get feed from, I gave him a chicken one because it's chicken season like this, and he really liked it, and he said, next time you come in, can I get some to put out? So he took 15. We'll see how that goes. Hey, yo, Patty. It's good to see you. So as you see, I like to do a variety. So we have like yoga, and depending on how it's cut, so like this one is a dog and a chicken, and this one is a mouse and a cat. Same fabric. It's the same way with this. You've got an owl and my nice little Mr. Hedgehog, but this one is turtles and bunnies and a deer arse. And it's the same way. I get 3 different kinds of cats from this one. So we have all kinds of things. We even have chickens in space. And like I said, all the glow in the dark ones are gone. So I have some ready to put together. Hi, Sherry. Good morning. It's good to see you. I'm glad that you popped in. But we have everything. I have these in dogs and cats. This is the one remaining dog. But if I came over here and wanted to, I could grab a strip from these that are already, fold them, tack them, put the freight check on them, and put hardware on them. So here's the cats. There's 2 or 3 strips of those. So all I have to do at this point is make them the size I want, put a tack, I trim them, put a little freight check, because the first time I made them 5, 6 years ago, I realized that these, after a certain amount of time, these corners were fraying. So I found if I put a little bit of freight check across it, it made it last longer, and it's not necessary. And then you clip it, trim it, put the hardware on. So all of these are sitting there that will probably make, I don't know, 75 key fobs, because it's not hard to, and then there's some that, because I'm moving slower than normal, these are all folded and ready to sew. And so this would make it easy. What I do on typical is I cut a 3-inch strip. Oh, I got stuff under my nails. 3-inch strip. I iron it in half, and then I tuck my edges in to make a 1 inch, and then I have this is a Pelon TP970. It's a sew-in thermoplan. It's thin, it's inexpensive, but I like the little bit of padding. And once I get it to this point, I do an 1/8 of an inch sew-in on each side. And I found that if you do as long of a strip as you can, this one will probably do 4 or 5 key fobs if you're doing them this size to put on your wrist. It's easier than doing them individual. And I had planned on just, oh, there's a couple. Somebody asked for some plain colored ones. I like solids with a little bit of color. Hey, little sis, how you doing this morning? So I did pull out some purple, blue, teal for those, and I do have a handful back here that aren't folded. So, but these are, but I will tell you, if you're doing, and I don't know, okay, the best one that I have here, if you're doing, say, a design like these ladybugs, and you want to get, so like, I will use this side for the fob because you have the ladybug and then you have ladybugs peeking in on the side. I will trim an extra piece to get the design. It's the same way with dogs. If it's something like this or colored, that's easy. But if it's something like this, I may need to move over and sacrifice a 1/4 inch of fabric to cut my 3-inch piece to make my 1-inch key fob. And the easiest way that I've found to do it is when you're cutting it, and you have it folded to cut, you don't just measure, you measure over your 3 inches. Where's my, I don't know where my little ruler is, but you measure over your 3 inches, and then when you get there, you look what's going to be in that 1-inch window that's going to show up on either side. Because basically you want 3/4 of an inch to tuck under on each side, and then 1 inch in the middle, you know, half to 3/4 on each side for the fold under, and 1 inch. So what's going to show? And if what you're going to get is just all tails of the hummingbirds, then I move over until it's in the middle of the fold. Cut off the excess. Depending on the size of it, I'll throw it in the scrap pile. Like here's a strip. I cut this off to get the cats. One of the sets of cats in the window. Now this fabric I make 3 different cat key fobs from because I can put the cats in. But these are just things I've learned. So anyway, I have to figure out what I did with my bag. But like this bag, these just need hardware. They're all trimmed. They're all ready. They have the freight check on them. Probably 10-15 minutes of putting hardware on. And I think there's 25-30 in here. Just with all the multitude of different things and my back and shoulder, it hasn't gotten done. Oh, I know. I was just gonna refill my bag, and usually I'm good for a while, but putting them in the I guess there's more in here. So putting them in the using 25 for the booth and the ones I've given away, I unexpectedly somebody paid me for 4 and then 6, which paid for my hardware. This is a really nice. I think this is Raleigh Blake, but I got it at that on the 27th of December when that quilt shop was closing, and it was like 65% off. Because I normally wouldn't use something uber. And like this, I found this a couple years ago, and I can get 3 or 4 different designs of the guitars depending on where I fold it and how I fold it. and if I wanted to use this side. So those are just some tips, and like I said, I have these to do. And then maybe I'll work on some other projects. But I did buy hardware, and I got these little boxes from the Lob for like $3 a piece. They're good for at home, but you have to be careful when you throw them in a bag, because like this one, all of a sudden this latch will come loose. But this is what I have left from one set of hardware I bought, and this is what I have for the other set. So I bought one set was $144 and the other set was $100, I think. The ones I normally buy. These are my favorite because they're good quality. I think there's 100 in there. You just have to look, and I like that I can do different colors. So I have rainbow, gunmetal gray, a steel gray, a bronze, black, silver. I have a rose gold. I have a gold, and I did end up with a few rose gold, but those are harder to come by. So those 4 are the last ones that I have. And get one of these. If you're gonna make key fobs, even just 10, save yourself a headache. You can get these in a kit with a handful of key fobs for not much, or you can pay $6-7 for one. And these tips that, see, it has no grooves here, and the plastic protects it. And these are replaceable. You can get like 5 sets of these for $3. But I'll tell you what they don't tell you when they send them to you. You have to hit them with like a hair dryer to make them pliable to get over here. And then they work. I have used this for a long while before I knew about the pliers. I got this little hammer for $4 at Home Depot. And it does work well. I've used it for snaps. I've used it for... But you have to cover it. You have to try and get it on there and cover it so you don't damage the hardware or scratch it. Just get a pair of pliers. A lot of times they're under glass making. So that's my foo-for-ah there. Now in January I got a product from Amazon, and it had a big dent in it. It didn't have anything to do with the functionality. It was very hard to get. And we meandered around, and they gave me like $50 or $60 refund for my dent. It was just small and cosmetic. It's like, works for me. So I had been sitting on it, and I finally decided, because I cut the batting for the fobs and things, to get a 60mm one of these. I should have done this a very, very long time ago. I had been using my Alpha 60mm, but when I cut the next set of batting to have for slipping in key fobs, it was so much easier. Now, everybody will find a rotary cutter that works for them. And if they're like me, a lot of us will have a graveyard of rotary cutters. And when I finally broke down and bought the 45mm, it worked for my... And I figured out the proper way to use it, because the first week I was going to throw it across the room. And there were 2 things. It came with a dull blade, and I wasn't using it correctly. Once I figured out how to use it, and I even tried True Cut. Somebody gave me a brand new True Cut with like 5 of the rulers that have rails in them, which I need to find a home for. And I didn't like it. So I do use my 18 Alpha, my 18mm, and that kind of thing for different things. But this made cutting my batting strips so much easier. And since somewhere in here, I think I have some. So since a lot of times I have a bag, key fob batting. So I will cut 9 to 12 of these at a time and roll them up and then I just grab them and use them. The last time I cut, I had 9 in here. I have 3 left for my last batch. And I'm just saying, this 60. Yeah, Donnell. I mean, these little inexpensive pliers with the plastic coating, and these are like 5 years old, and they have been through the mill. I mean, they have been put in a bag. I mean, I throw these in the bag with some of my hardware and unfinished key fobs sometimes. So when I'm waiting for an appointment, I can just put hardware on. I did that last week at my rheumatologist, and I had like 40 ready for hardware. I got 33 of them done because I checked in twice, and then they realized that they hadn't checked me in, so I sat for quite a while. And I have a yo-yo kit and one of these really nice things. And this is everything I need to make yo-yos for angels or Christmas trees. I have a gnome nose and braid kit like that if I want to grab it. Yes, that's what I had to do in the fall, but I had a hard time figuring out how to put it on. And I've used this refill enough that this one's splitting a little bit, but it may have been because I didn't realize that I needed to heat this a little bit to get it on there. So I was futzing and biting with it, and then afterwards I found a little article that says, "Oh, you just apply a little heat and make it pliable." Well, I've got 4 other sets of these, so it's easy enough to replace. And they're, like I said, oh, I should have looked sooner. I was, I guess, in a stubborn mood because I was fighting, and I'm like, how are you supposed to get these on there? And I finally got them on there, and then I was looking at the listing, and somebody in the comments says, "Oh, you really should hit them with a hair dryer or something, and it makes a little steam or a hair dryer, and then they slip right on." And I'm going, sigh. Um, but I'm glad that um, I'm glad that your husband could help you with that. Now, I don't need fabric. I haven't been buying as much fabric. But I do still occasionally find a deal or find something, or there's something I need. And so this is more late March. Where are we? In the end of April, late March. I collected a few things. I may have shown you some of these things. I don't know, but it doesn't always hurt. It doesn't hurt to see some of these again, and then I know where I'm at with it. And some of these I know are definitely new. Um, so I went to my mail outlet and I was looking in the bins. I needed elastic because I'm gonna make some scrunchy bandanas for the dogs. They have a elastic in the back, so you don't have to slip it on the collar or take the collar. I want to try doing that. And Tara Reid has the bomb of a So I needed some elastic, and Mill Outlet's the place to get elastic. Plus, I needed to drop off eggs for one of the ladies. So when I went to the bin, they had these flower prints from Marshall Dry Goods. Now they had like 15 prints that were all coordinating, and I really liked this one and this one. And I told the ladies, I said, "Hey, can I come back and grab these 2 tomorrow?" Well, I should have just grabbed these 2 because that would have been better behaving. They weren't uber expensive per yard, but when I went back the next day, I looked again, and I really fell in love with these 2. Now, I do have pictures of the other floral prints that they had to go with this collection, and they were a lot. They had just gotten them in. They're off the boat. This is the first that they've actually gotten a bunch of I mean, I think about 3 months ago, they got in some really nice blenders from Marshall Dry Goods. But so this is like the second time they've ended up with fabric from Marshall Dry Goods. And I imagine that I don't know. I don't know how it works with what they get on the bolt and what they don't get on the bolt that goes in the cheapy bins. But anyway, I have my eye on a couple of others because I thought that these would make a nice quilt, whether or not it's a jelly roll quilt, a 5-inch square quilt, or a 10-inch square quilt. And I could add a couple of the others that have some of the teal and colors in them. I just haven't gotten back over there. Now, I know the lady there said that she was planning on, she had more coming in. Now, I don't, because they turned out to be somewhat popular. So I don't know when she said, sorry, work with me here, guys, that she was getting more in, if that meant more designs, the same designs, because they don't always do that. I hope that my live is still going and I'm not talking to myself because I did that for about 20 minutes. I didn't know my live had frozen. And but this is these are the bandanas, and it's 4 sizes. And Tara Reid, I really like her. She makes a lot of practical fabric of practical patterns. Joe, how are you doing? Thank you for listening. And popping in. I appreciate it. One thing that I liked is she tells you how with these how to make sure if you're using directional fabric you don't end up like this. Not really expensive. You can go on Etsy. She often has sales. But I just like the idea, and I wanted to make my pooch some things. And I had been looking at this pattern. I did a deep search for a jacket for the dogs in the fall. And this was my favorite. And you can make it with or without the personalization. Hey, Melanie, I'm glad that you're back. I just, last time the chat kind of got quiet, I just kept going and I realized that I recorded for about 20-30 minutes and the live at YouTube had frozen or something and I didn't even record. So anyway, Etsy sent me a thing saying, we really like you and you have an anniversary. Here's $5. And then they said, after a week or two, they said, oh, you got one more day. And I thought, well, I've had this on my wish list. That'll pay for shipping. It's not. And it's not. I mean, you're not using a ton of fabric to make these. But I like the patchwork design. I like that it would fit. Thank you very much, Donnell. I very much appreciate it. I have wiener dogs and basset hounds typically, and they have barrel chests and long bodies. And if you bought something like this for a dachshund, forget about it. It's just too expensive. So that's what I got with my, hey, you have an anniversary, you can use this at pretty much any shop on Etsy last month. And I figured maybe if my back gets together and things continue to work out, I could get some done before it got cool again. Yeah. So I'll let you know, Donnell, how it works because I looked at a ton of patterns for the dog jackets. And I really liked that one because you could make it scrappy with your patchwork. I mean, controlled scrappy or scrappy. Or I imagine you could convert it and do it solid. And like I said, I know that middle strip, it shows you how to put their name on it if you want to. but I've also seen it done where that's just part of the patchwork or solid. So we'll see. And it's not, I think the pattern, it's from Molly and Me. Shouldn't have put it over here. Yeah, it's from Melly and Me, Melly. And I think it regularly runs like $10 for the pattern with shipping. So, and they have a lot of other. So, moving on, I had popped into the lob. This was early March, so you may have seen this, but I saw this and they were doing some kind of extra sale, so it wasn't just 30% off. Do I know exactly what I'm going to do with this? No, but I thought it was cool with all the little patchwork critters. Oh, when I got the flowers, they had thrown this in the bin. And this is a QT, a Turnowski QT, but it's just buttons. And I just thought it was cute. And I even thought, you could, for a sewer, you could make a pin cushion. You could make a key fob for a quilter sewer with buttons. So that goes with the mill outlet. And so does this. I think these two were separate. They had this panel, and I think it was $4 for the pillow panel. And you got the zebra and the tiger. You got 2 of each. And I don't know that I'll do them as pillows, but I like the way they did the coloration. And I thought if I did the pillows, I'd get four 18-inch pillows out of a $4 panel. Yeah, I mean it'd be about 18 inches. You may have to use some sashing this way. Lions, tigers, and bears, oh my. Hey. Sorry, I just scared the bejesus out of my dachshund because he was laying down here and I dropped the ruler. It did not hit him, it just landed near him. And he's like, Mom, I'm out of here. Okay, boo? It didn't land on you. For a badger dog, got spooked by a ruler. In February, before everything devolved, Deb likes poo fabric, and so I'd shown her this poo fabric from Michael's. I really liked it. She asked me if I was going to get some, and I said, well, I don't know. I said maybe, couple weeks at the first or whatever, week and a half. And she kept bugging me to get some. She wanted me to get 4 yards, I think. And I thought, okay. When she went in the hospital after she did what she did, I thought, well, you know what? I'm just going to do it because she told me to. She kept insisting. Well, I had a $10 coupon that only had a couple days left. And I found this. And I'm kind of in love with it because it has all the different emotions. And I can imagine you could fussy cut it and do something. Plus, it had Woodstock. Now, Woodstock's my favorite Snoopy character. But I just loved how they took and did that. And then they had these. They had this. I thought that this was going to be the Snoopy in space dude, you know. I did not realize that this $4 panel was going to be. I thought it was going to be repeating little Snoopy's flying in space. I did not know that it was this giant panel, which and the top says Snoopy's journey to deep space. This is from 2020. So I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with it. but my $10 coupon pretty much covered it. And because I added these two things, there was free shipping, so that saved like $8, $7 to $10 on shipping. So, you know, this was kind of like a free. These two things, the Snoopy in space and this 2 yards, I think cost me. When I got done with the coupon and the free shipping, it was like $4 for 2 yards of this and two and a half panels, because basically, I guess it was end of bolt, because when again, I thought it was just him. If I'd have known it was a giant arse panel, I would have just done the one or not done it at all. But I have the two giant panels, and then I have like a third of another one. So I'm thinking somebody either made an oops cut and they had it left, or it was in the bolt. And it's great panel, but it is down now. This panel is huge. May just be a yard, but I don't. I mean, it is a big. So this is the cut line. So that's just the width, and it goes the whole 40 inches, pretty much, with, probably. Okay. This is probably like a 38 by, and you could leave the gray stripe on, and it is cute. With this, they had him floating around in space, on some fabric. In fact, somewhere around here, someone gave me a bandana, in late 20, early 21, and I started looking for it because it was really cool, but I guess it was so popular. So I read the description wrong and ended up with two. And I'll find something. A quilt, wall hanging. I have some Snoopy lovers. I've been collecting some Snoopy fabric for a while. Most of them have Mr. Woodstock on them. A couple of them have just Woodstock, so I can make a quilt like that. So some of this will go to that. So these were more like pre-February 2nd. And why can I tell you pre-February 2nd? Because that was the day that changed everything. Okay. So then I saw a picture on Facebook from this lady. I don't know if she was in Minnesota or Texas or wherever. It just came up in my feed. That would be really nice. Donnell, the red, white, and blue piano keys. That would be, Starbucks would be good too. Those are both excellent ideas. And I have enough red, white, and blue fabric. They were trying to get me to buy some the other day because they have like 35 or 40 on this table for July, and it's like $2.50 or $2.99 a yard off the bolt for these patriotic designs. I didn't see any that I didn't already had or any that I needed, but if I did need, that was a great deal. Yeah, both of those are excellent ideas. The piano keys with the blocks as the corners. So anyway, I saw this lady. I always like collaborating and getting ideas. And hopefully, as I get my back together and stuff, I have to have my thumb fused. Because I'm losing function in it. It's hyperextending and crap. And I have the chaos maker out of the house. Boy, she left a mess. My gosh. But this time when it gets cleaned up, it won't reappear, so There's just a lot to do, and my room's a little overwhelming. But anyway, back to this. And some of you have probably seen pictures of this, but this lady was doing a shop hop, and she ran across this set of fabric called Please Take a Seat. And I think it's Henry Glass. Please seat yourself. It's by Three Wishes. And what caught my eye was this. And the picture. And it, for some reason, it just tickled my funny bone, and I really liked it. So I took a screenshot of it and I searched to find out, because she didn't have a designer or anything to see when, where, or how. And when I got around to doing the search for it, I found it on an Etsy shop and it was on sale. And I was stunking on a decent sale, and I was stunking on it. And of course, you know, they threw me a 20% off coupon, which made it reasonable. And part of this collection, and I only got a yard of this, was these newspaper print, I guess, because you used to sit on the john and read a newspaper. That's old school. But bears take over the park. It's a damn shame with the beaver. There's this squirrel. The world has officially gone nuts. Otter devastation. It just, I don't know why. It just tickled my funny bone. With the headlines. And the other thing I did get was the panel, because I also thought it was kind of funny. I've thought I batted around ideas with friends of shower curtain or a little wall thing. I mean, I might just make an irreverent humor quilt. But the panel has like, hello, sweet cheeks. Has this one that's get naked and relax. Over here you have, so it's kind of all bath scenes. You have this one that says beauty doesn't wash off. Splish splash, we're trying to take a bath with guinea pigs. And down here you have deja vu. And then I think there's a couple in the middle, and a couple of these. I was kind of surprised that whoever designed this put a cat in here but did not put a dog in here, because they put the meow, no evil, but no dog. Best seat in the house, which is pretty funny. And then they had this one, potty like a rock star. And I did not realize that the fabric here was damaged. I don't know how that happened. So I guess that panel piece, I guess it came damaged and I didn't catch it. So anyway, well, I guess he's got a hole in his forehead. So I've got what? 1, 2, 3. I've got 11 out of the 12. I'll make it work. Kind of like Tim too. Yeah, it's a bummer. Anyway, stuff happens. Squeeze my bottom. I'm not sure who was doing what when they came up with this design, but cracks me up. Now, this company, cute little quote shop. I'd have to look it up because I had my brain and now it's gone. I haven't ordered from them in 6-7 months, but a lot of times if you look tucked in their featured section, they have like a yard of quilt fabric, mystery yard of quilt fabric or panel for $1.99. And last time I did it, and I can show you, I got a really nice, I don't exactly know what you call it, but the pattern goes halfway up the fabric, and then on the other half it repeats itself, so it's kind of a cross between a piece of fabric and a panel. And this time I got a batik, 1 yard of a batik. Yeah, Melanie. I mean, and it fits my sense of humor. So what are you gonna do? So I got this because I needed horse fabric for key fobs. Somebody wants horses, and the feed store sells a lot of horse things. And in searching, I found these two Dan Morris horse prints that I think I can make work. I couldn't find any like teeny tiny horses that didn't look like a child drew them, or you know. And I didn't know whether, okay, this is great because they really stand out, but you're going to get this dirtier. Now the fobs could, um, yeah, this is like paint splotches, and this came with this. This I really like because the horses stand out, but you know, with key fobs, you're going to get them dirty. Now, key fobs are washable because that, you know, but the black, well, so anyway, good deal again. Have shot with this shop before. I have taken this and folded it to look to see how it would work. And I figured out if I do it a certain way, you get the heads. And there's one way when I fold it, you'll get the whole body. You'll get some fobs with the whole body of the horse going. Let me do it this way. Maybe this is clear. You get a whole horse. You know, this whole part of the horse in the key fob, along with some little ones and heads. So I'm going to experiment. I looked at a ton of horse fabric to find some that I thought I could make work. These are a little bigger than I thought, but I think once I do a little folding like I know how to do and futzing, you'll end up getting, you know, a lot of heads, like horse heads like this, and then when you flip it over, and you'll get some that will have the whole horse. Like this will turn out really nice because most of this horse will be in there with your horse heads and your hooves. So, well done. Now this one's. I thought these were going to be a little smaller, but I love the colors. I love the way he did the horses. I'm hoping, if not, it will go in my Dan Morris to. Well, some of it will go in my Dan Morris to make anyway. But we're gonna try it. We're gonna see. I didn't realize that it was so hard to find something that looked nice and looked like a horse in a small print. Small print. Yes. Yes, these would make good. I'm not going to use, dang, I wouldn't use all of this for key fobs. But yes, mug rugs. I mean, it would be even make a good bowl koozie for a horse person. I mean, you could make a quilt out of it. So these 3 pieces I got from the little cute quilt shop. I'll look up the name if anybody's interested. It's a small quilt shop out of, I think, Utah. Lady is really nice. Sends a nice note. She sent me a coupon and said if you want to do another order, you know, the last time I shopped with her, I think it was the summer. Same thing, very nice. Customers. No, hold on. I got. Hopefully, I'm still here on somewhere. I had a phone call and it was trying to bump in, and I'm not interested right now. So I got one more little stack, and then I'm gonna show you one last thing, a couple last things if you guys are not worn out. And then boop, I'm gone. What are you doing, little butt? Do you want to get up here or you want to get down? You're playing up and out. Ah. See, now you made me do that. Flutterby's. I needed some poster board. I had a brain idea on the key fobs that what if I cut a strip of, thank you, Melanie. What if I cut a strip of poster board like this and then took my strip that's folded in half and tucked the poster board in there and folded it down? Would it just, instead of having to mark, make tick marks all the way down to get my fold, could I just save that step? Well, all I had was this bent up janky piece of poster board to try it, and it kind of worked. So I had to be in Walmart because I found a 1949 tan singer that was made in Canada. It's 3 weeks or 4 weeks. Well, yeah, 3 or 4 weeks ago. Anyway, on Facebook, they had a problem with the cord, and they wanted $30 for it. So I went to pick it up. I guess it belonged to this lady's grandmother, and they had it in storage. It all works. It has some masking tape on the bed that needs to be cleaned off, and it needs a cord that needs to be replaced. So anyway, she said, you can meet me here or you can meet me at Walmart. And I said, well, I'll meet you at Walmart because I want to get some of this in white. Now, what I did find is this does kind of work. I had to cut it down a little bit. This does work. Hi, Katie. Thank you for popping in. I really appreciate it. This does kind of work, but my thought was of doing a piece that was long enough to go through the whole thing. But what I found is that I use about this much of it, and I get this started, and then I can see where the fold is, and I just continue to tuck and go down and check my measurement every once in a while. And so instead of taking marking it every so to where I want my fold to be, I don't have to do that step. So it does work. Did I really need the poster board for that? No, but you know what? Poster board was 89 cents, so I really didn't lose anything. And it'll be used for something else. But while I was there, I found these fat quarters in this 5 fat quarter set in the clearance section, and all it said was critters, and you never know until you open it up. And I think it was 5 fat quarters for $1, so I grabbed the 2 they had of these critters. And it's kind of fun because one has the dogs and the cats and cows and duckies, and one's all cats in the garden. There's another one with kitties and garden stuff. And then there's the dogs. They do have a good representation of the puppers. And then they have this one, which I would think is really fun because it has like the milk can and everything like that. But that was my Wally World adventure. $2, 10 fat quarters with critters on it. And it's kind of an eclectic mix, which I guess you could keep together or you could separate. And I think the last thing on my table is when I went to Duke last Monday, which was a 12-hour trip, which is like you got to do these 2 specialized tests, wait, hurry up and wait, and you got to do these specialized tests, and one of them I can only do up there, which is going to be another probably longer day because the test takes 4.5 hours. I needed some distractions, so there was a quilt shop that in 4 years I've been watching them on YouTube, and I thought, well, it's on the way. Where I was this time, it's kind of on the way. It would only be an extra 5 minutes or so, and I needed to kind of stretch. So Tony stopped there, and he took a nap in the car with the dogs while I wandered around for 20 minutes or so trying to figure out. And I mainly hit the clearance section because they're big chitty and their per yard is. Katie, I'm good. I hope you're doing well. It's good to see you. I could only find one of these. I don't know why I like the rabbits. I have since done a search. And, well, one of them's behind me. And two of them are under the table. And they're my babies. They're my baby. This is my Velcro dog. Now I'm going to get kisses. And Moji and Munchie are under the table. The old men. Well, you're going to be 7. You're going to be 7 soon, huh? None of you guys are young anymore. There's your baby. So I looked this up and I figured out who has it, and they have it in a black, and I like the black. Don't ask me why I like it, but I do. And they had 2 of these left. And I really, ow, 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 ow. That wasn't a good idea, honey. You remember your mom dropped a clamp on my shoulder on Sunday. And it was already bad. So anyway, I like the crosses. And I saw this in the clearance section, and in this shop they have, wow, 2 already done now? That's, time goes by too fast. In their clearance section, they do like a 50, 60, 70, 80. So you see the color dot that's on top, and then it'll tell you which tier it's in, how bad they want it out. And it wasn't, the clearance section from what they had listed on the web to what they actually had was not wow. Which was fine. I really didn't need anything, but this was in there like 70% sticker. And I liked it. There's some other fabrics I have that are similar. They could use some of this salmony to brighten them up. So I got a little piece of that. They had this panel that I had looked at Christmas, and again it was like in there something like 70% off tier. It's just it's a Dan Morrison Co. kind of jug band thing. And they have just the different animals doing different dancing. I mean, over here they've got the weasel and the rabbit dancing. They have an owl in the middle. And I thought for the price they had it off that it was owl cute. Because this was one I was on the fence when I saw it come out. And I hadn't seen it in person. So I guess, yeah, this has been out a couple years too. So I got one of these. I figured it would be nice for, I mean, it's not even really, they were putting it out for like Christmassy, but you can do it for any time because it's just animals in a band. It doesn't have any hallmarks that push it to, ooh, this is Christmas. I hadn't realized that. So anyway, under meandering. And then they had this. And I think it was they just had a little bit. I really like microbuses. So I ended up because I like microbuses. And this isn't a big, this is by Lisa. This is Paintbrush Studio. So I got it. And then the one thing I did do a little splurge on, and this was another thing. I was surprised that seeing their advertisement and stuff, how little tulip they actually had. And it could be, you know, hey, it could be shipping, it could be customer demand, it could be any number of reasons. I'm not knocking the shop. It was a nice shop. It was nice to finally get to go there and see it. But my one splurge was one piece of the Gray Works. I really want to get a yard of the puffins at some point, but I didn't want the polar bears. And they had that. I think they had the polar bears and one of the wolves. Now, what I didn't see on a display up front, they had her Turtle Pink's reef collection, several pieces of a reef collection, which I think had just come in that they were putting out, and there were some beautiful pieces there. But I thought, well, at least I really like Gray Works, but I couldn't dive in. If I could have, I would have gotten a 1-yard bundle of everybody. But you know, you can only dive in how you can dive in. And I know that I've been doing a lot of key fobs lately, which was not intended, but sometimes when you're going through 2 or 3 months like I've been through, and you've basically seen most of everything you've built for almost 40 years just fall apart. You sometimes need a mindless project. Plus, I'm slower. Right now, I'm much slower. I could have gotten all these key fobs done in probably 4 days or so instead of 3 or 4 weeks, but there are other things I'm doing, doctor's appointments, helping Tony. There's legal cases going, and she took away about 2 years worth of work on my back, and we can't straighten all of that out yet. And she left behind a horrendous mess. So, you know, trash and stuff. So, it's bit by bit. And hopefully once some of these things settle, I can actually work on some of my quilts and stuff. I've got several bags of quilts that, you know, I designed a quilt for my dad's memorial. He was Air Force, and I'd been looking for about 5 years for the right fabric. I've shown it to y'all. I wanted to have it done for his birthday on March 3rd this year. Didn't happen. There's next year. It's here. And I think hopefully, maybe the justice system will actually do something right inside for the victims. I'm not holding my breath. I've lost a lot of confidence in our justice system and our medical system in the last 3 months. But anyway, this was a $1.99 mystery from that shop that I got in the summer. I guess they consider this a panel, but when you flip it over, you have the same design on the other half. Now, this is not something I would have necessarily snagged up and bought, but it's extremely cute, and it will go for backing for something fussy cut or in a quilt, like a kid's quilt or something. And for $1.99, you know, I got something that is cute with all the kittens and the dogs in the. Too bad the submarines aren't yellow, because then we could be singing about how we're in our little yellow submarine. But this was what I got from the same shop that I got that batik from. So if you do an order, and you can only do one of the mysteries, and sometimes they have like a cheap mystery, fat quarter or something like that, it'd be worth checking out, that type of thing. Hey, Cheryl, you have a good day. Yeah, blessings to you. Hopefully you can get some of the things done you need to get done. Donnell, you're funny. Yeah, Melanie, that's only a couple days after Pop. And Pop would have been, oh my gosh, I think we figured out 93. He died on the 1st of February, 2003. Complications to Alzheimer's. And I thought that Alzheimer's was bad. I would take that Alzheimer's over Lewy body. Both are nefarious, both are bad. But anyway, so he's been gone 20 years, 23 years now. And I think, yeah, he was 70. I want to say he was 73, so he would have been 96 this year. Anyway, I finally found the panel and pulled together the panel for his quilt. Well, it's going to be mine. The dogs and I are going to use it. It's not hanging on the wall, but as a memorial and remembrance for him, on Memorial Day when they had a bunch of sales, and I pulled the pieces together and I rough drafted a pattern, and then I had a friend who has EQH kind of refine my chicken scratch and my thinkings in my head in early January, so it's there. Yeah, the only other, I have a couple things. In 23, I found this kit that makes 2 of these easy dozy dope bags, and it's Tulip Pink line work. And it's been sitting over there with everything I need, like I said, zipper, everything with the By Any pattern since March of 23. And it got buried over there. Well, I pulled it out the 1st of January because I wanted to work on at least one. I don't know that I'll do both, and this line work is my favorite Tulip Pink. Gray works comes pros. I don't know that I'll do both of them in the skunk. I may substitute a different line work or something that I have. I may use the wolf. I may find a yard of the puffins to do. So it's been sitting out to do on the table. We will get there. The only other thing I can say is, and I moved it over there, is even when you get an expensive machine, you tend to get, just leave a message, I'll be done in a minute. You tend to get a freestanding table for an extension table. They're great. I don't understand why these bigger companies that give you the freestanding table with the machine have not figured out to throw. I mean, when you're putting a good investment in your machine, why it's the weakest part, why they haven't figured out some kind of drop down feet. So anyway, last year one of the tabs cracked. It just came off. And so it would lean forward a little bit, and sometimes I would catch. I had to be careful not to catch things. I would use a Dinty Moore can of stew to kind of prop it up if I was trying to piece it. And I was trying to get a custom block to put it. Well, Thursday it cracked. The whole side piece just cracked. And I went looking at the sew study table because I've been looking on Marketplace and looking at them for 2.5 years. And I thought, I can't touch this. And I didn't even get a chance to check Bernina. Well, Sunday morning I thought, well, I'm waking up, I'll flip through Marketplace, and a lady had put up a Sew Steady table for my model machine, and it was a quarter of the price of getting a new one. And I started talking to her about it. Well, then I found out that it was the largest one they make, the 24 by 24. And it was like, okay, when can I pick it up? I'll take it out of my mad money. When can I pick it up? So she's on the machine. I had to clear some things off and move Phoenix over. I have not had a chance to play. Yesterday there was 3 appointments and getting dog food, and Hope came in like anyway to be dog sat. The basset came back for a few hours. Anyway, so she's set up. I'm looking forward to it. And I think I'm gonna like the space that's on it because it's huge in and of itself. It has a couple scratches on it, but otherwise it looks like it's new. So I'm excited about that. Had a lot of people tell me how much they like their So Steady tables. But there was no way I could do $150 to $225 for a large or extra large. And of course, then you got to wait 3 to 4 weeks for them to make it and then ship it. And I really didn't want to get a Bernina replacement, no matter how much they were, because they were freestanding and I'd be in the same place. Yeah, I mean, I've been looking when I scroll through Facebook Marketplace, which isn't every day, but I found a lot of them for Elnas and Baby Locks and machines like that, but I've never found one for Benina 770. So and she just listed it, so it worked out really good. She was an older lady who was in a seniors only apartment complex in town. Very nice lady. But yeah, within an hour I left the house and headed there, scooped her up. She's really pretty. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with her except for a couple places where she's got a couple scratches. Well, heck, eventually that's going to happen with acrylic. I could do that. I could do that in the first couple days, just putting something on there and a straight pin or something. But oh yeah, she was 25 minutes away, 30 minutes away. So when I texted her, it was like 8:30 in the morning, and I'm like, and it said it was just posted, and I said, "Is this still available? I'm really interested." She popped back a few minutes later and said it is, and I said, "When can I come and pick it up?" And she's like, "Can you be here by 10 this morning?" And I'm thinking, that gives me about 45 minutes to walk out the door. Yeah, I'll be there, you know. And she's thick too. I mean, I know you can't really lean on her, but which I was careful to do. But if you naturally, when you're free motion quilting and stuff, you're gonna have weight. You're gonna have weight with fabric. But she's nice and thick, so we'll see. I'm just excited. I'm excited that God popped it up when I really needed it, and I had some stashed in an emergency. And for me, I know some people wouldn't call it an emergency, but when your freestanding table breaks and you're like me and you do as much as you do with your machine, it is kind of emergent because without the freestanding, my workspace is um you know. So there's that, and we'll be posting more on that. I've kind of adjusted some of the feet on my table, which is nice. I would have liked it if they would have put a foot in the middle, because they have 2 feet towards the back and 2 feet in the front, but they don't have anything like dead middle, especially with as much space as you have. We'll see how it goes. It may be building a little prop to give that added support. But yeah, Katie, I think we were talking about that, and a lot of people do. A lot of people, I mean, I was on the phone with, video chatting with a couple quilty friends when I was looking at them to see on Saturday. On Friday, I was kind of looking at them, and I was going, "Holy cow!" Um, So I'm really excited, and I'm excited for the room because the other one I had, about that much space off the back and the front, and now I have that much off the back and like that much off the front. And I never dreamed that I'd be able to get the extra large, you know, with the largest one they make right now. And like I said, and one thing I saw is like, I think it's 25 or $30. They have a light system that you can add to the Sew Steady table, and it turns it into a light table so that you can do your applique and stuff like that. That's an interesting idea. My friend has the little octopi arms that go up to help hold some of the weight that go on there to hold some of the weight. So yeah, I noticed that they had it for the featherweight, and I was scratching my head about that one because I do have the featherweight over there, and then I have Hetty, my hand crank, my 1901 hand crank. But yeah, I was thinking I saw they had that. Um, so she's on the machine. I'll see. She's uh she's on Phoenix. She's nice and big and pretty. I think I got her pretty level. I like that it gives a lot of support in the back. Um, I was always careful with the other one. I'm gonna bounce you around because I was always really as careful as I could, but I knew it was because, like I said, 8 months to a year ago, one of the clips broke off. So when you would sew, it would tip forward just enough and create just this just a little tiny gap between the sewing machine and the back of it like that. So you would catch the end and you'd have to flip it off so you didn't have it a pile up. And like I said, when it got really annoying, I used the only thing I found that was close to the height was a can of Dinty Moore stew, and it was just a little high, but it held it stable. But then I wasn't leaning on it. I was getting set up and getting ready to sew, and I heard a crack in the hole. Yeah, but there it is. So anyway, I got to get off of here. I think I've been on here for long enough, and I need to take some of this beautiful cacti fabric and turn it into 2 placemats. With the cacti as the insert, and the person wants a piece of this Southwest fabric, which these pieces have to be French seamed together anyway, and I've been putting it off for a while, of either that or this. And I have to figure out where I put my spare of this and this, because this is cut for a round tablecloth. And to make the size that this person wants, I have to French seam. I couldn't find it in 108. Couldn't find this in 108. They purchased the material, so I have to French seam 2 pieces together to make one, and then will be the hold your breath. Trying to get the 65-inch circle or whatever it is. Unfortunately, I've French seamed enough that, knock on wood, I'm gonna find some wood that it'll come together. I'd planned to have it done by now, but fracturing that vertebrae and dislocating things and setting everything back in February, and all the mess that's gone with it, and drama and losing everything. I mean, your whole family, pretty much over stupidity. Was not in the cards. Was not in the plans, but I guess God's got a different plan and a reason, and so, and now it's hurry up and wait, go to Duke, get a second opinion, hurry up and wait. But anyway, I will find that. This is very pretty fabric. This came out 3-4 years ago, and their husband loves cacti, and I knew I had some of this cacti fabric that I fell in love with. Um, and I knew where I could get another piece for placemats without using my stash of it. So this will be the insert, and this will be, I probably won't use this because I like it too much. Part of my payment from this family member for these damn tablecloths that went from 2 tablecloths to 10 was 3 layer cakes that they got by mistake. 1 charm pack, and half of whatever was left over because they went on a spree when they bought this. So I got like 5 yards of this. Because that they overbought by like yards or 10.5 yards of just this colorway. One of them there was 6 inches left. One of these cream, I think it was the cream and orange. I think it was this one. There was like 6 inches left. Now the other one that was orange with a light orange salmon, it had about a yard left. But that was and 2 spools of thread, a lot of which I already used on the 8 42-inch square tablecloths I've gotten done. And these I want out the door. I wanted them out the door for a while, but yeah, I've already delivered the 8, and they were like, well, what I really wanted was the round, and it's like, well, you didn't tell me priority when I was in Chattanooga for Thanksgiving, and I actually found the thread color I needed to do the orange. That's family for you. So those are things that just need. I mean, I have a whole cloth quilt that I just did some squiggly. My brother, because that's what he wanted, and it should have been bound. And I mean, because that's all that's left is binding. It should have been bound before Thanksgiving. But it's there. So the couple tablecloths, couple placemats, one net, and keeping the key fob train going. And I got a list of things, and I keep adding to the list. That's the scary thing. Are things that are on the table, and like I said, I don't know why when I saw this at Mill Outlet in the fall that I really liked this design. Yes, it's a Dan Morris or Dan Morris Creative Co. But I saw it was getting a little thin. Yeah, it's a creative group. So I had gotten some more for myself, and I ended up getting the last yard to do for this placemat. That boxy bag kit came with a by Annie. I have a free one that when I was watching So Yeah Brothers pre-23, they had a bag that I've used, but for like a dope bag, I really don't have another pattern. But this one came with the by Annie pattern. With it, it was the whole kit. It was like 50% off, and it had the Tula for, and it's kind of pretty. I mean, I wouldn't have necessarily picked pink for the inside of my bag, but it is pretty colors. I mean, at least they didn't do the yellow, and I have enough of other colors. I have this in the gray and a couple other colors. So if I wanted to make a swap out for some of it, I could. And like I said, it has the spongy stuff, and so it has the main, the lining, the coordinating fabrics, the soft and stable, the fusible, a small piece of fusible interfacing, and the zippers. And it's supposed to be enough to make 2 bags. And when I got Phoenix, I saw it on sale, and I thought, and they could be useful, and I like the skunk. And like I said, I have more of the line drawing, so I know for myself, I probably would make two of them the same. But yeah. Um, oh, green apple cottage is really good. So can she is good too. I think green apple cottage would be really good. Yeah, okay, so I got this on sale and it has everything to make. Has the pattern and everything to make 2 bags with tuna for $40.23. Now that sounds expensive, but it's everything. It's it's this fancy soft and stable, um, the zippers, the pattern, and the material to make 2 bags and the interfacing. So I figured that wasn't too bad because even then the soft and stable was expensive. Now, I did find a big chunk of the bosal that's just like the soft and stable in the clearance section at Joann's, and I was surprised, and I asked them about it, and they said, well, somebody special ordered it, they didn't want it, so they returned it here, and it's been sitting and sitting and sitting, so I got this, like, I don't know, $50 or $75 chunk. I think it was like a $70 chunk of Bosal soft and their version of soft and stable for $10 because I saw it on the bottom shelf of the clearance. This was a year or so before, and it's up here in the mess. Before Joann's closed, it was just a stumble on thing because I'm like, what is Bosal doing at Joann's? So that, and I figured I would use it for something. Because like I said, I know soft and stable is supposed to be really excellent. Pellon has a knockoff. Bosal has a knockoff. Soft and stable is supposed to be the best. Bosal is supposed to be second. But it's so expensive because it has a name on it. So I figured I did good. But it's been sitting, and it got put in a box because of caregiving and surgeries and burying people and dogs and all the life events that have gone on in the last 3 years. And hopefully now all these things, I've got a mini exploding star, a mini exploding heart that I got last summer. That's Tula. I got the big exploding heart that I got when I got Phoenix because it was something I wanted to do. And they had like a half price sale on the full kit, including the backing. Or no, minus the backing. And I thought, and then last summer I saw the mini, and it was like 50% off. And I did the calculating in my head with the price of Tula today. And it was it just for the fabric. Forget the pattern. Because it has a binding and everything. I would have paid at least twice as much for it. And I thought, well, if I started with like the 36 by 36 mini, if I hate it, then I'm not doing the big mama, and the other thing is I can find out kind of what the exploding heart entails and prepare myself for the big, huge one. And both of them are different, Tula background. It's one shop that custom makes certain kits with Tula. And it's sitting up there. Yeah, that was supposed to start in January. So anyway, I have a bunch of things that are waiting for my body and time, and I finally want to get this room back to. I mean, it will never be 100% uncluttered. My creative mess is my creative mess, but all of this fabric should be on comic board and organized better. I had done months of work on that half of the room and kind of got it stable, and I went to Thanksgiving and was gone for less than a week, and I came back, and Deb had come in here like a tornado and a fart and a whirlwind, and she started throwing things and knocking things, and it's 5 times worse. And it gets overwhelming, and I know how to eat an elephant, eat it one at a time, one bite at a time. Well, this isn't the only place that I have to fix and clean. But hopefully, hopefully she'll finally get to the place where she'll get the care she needs. Everything she's done and everything I've been through, and yeah, I know there's disease components, and I know there's mental health illness components. I'm not issues, not illness. There's mental health issues, not illness, that have been there and been coming out for 6, 7 years that the doctors have ignored, because then she got the Lewy body dementia with the behavioral stuff, and it's all mixed up. And now the medical community for the last 6 weeks has been putting their heads up their asses about it. And I sat in her doctor's office pretty much every appointment, every emergency room visit, every surgery. 8 years, 8.5 years. I've been with her 24/7 pretty much, unless I go for a trip. And they listen to me, they listen to my input. Now they don't even want me to mention her name. And I'm the one who has all the